Hi, I'm Marie Elizabeth Molly, and this is Relationship Alchemy. Today we're talking about the common mistake people make around self love and their relationships. This topic came up for me because I hear all the time you have to love yourself before you can have a great relationship. I also hear all the time from single women, oh, I'm not in a relationship right now. I'm doing my work to learn to love myself. And then I can attract the relationship that will be more suitable, some version of that. And I want to challenge this belief and this assumption because it's rooted in a bunch of things that are not necessarily what we want our relationships to be running on. Number one, perfectionism. There's this prevailing idea that somehow we have to perfect ourselves before we can attract a great relationship. And that's just not true for two reasons. Number one, perfecting ourselves is an ideal that is just not realistic and it's never going to happen. Life is a lifelong journey of learning, so just let that one go. And the second is that, yes, in one sense, we attract from where we are. However, it's not that simple. There's a lot of factors that go into attraction that are not covered in the sort of simplified versions of attracting what you want that tend to be bandied about, especially on social media, in a little meme, which of course does not hold the complexity of the entire universe and laws of, how the universe works in one little sentence. I invite you to think about self-love as it relates to your relationships in this way instead. Of course, there needs to be enough baseline where we are showing up in our relationships in such a way that we are not self abandoning. We're not going into codependency and going along with whatever is happening without evaluating whether or not it feels good to us. There needs to be enough baseline to be able to speak up and ask for what you want, or set a boundary when a boundary needs to be set, or notice and name when you're triggered and if something has upset you, and if you need to go work that out yourself, or if that's something you want to work out with the person. Even discerning what you want can be tricky if you are so blended and merged into the relationship, into the situation, that you lose perspective on what you actually want. So there needs to be enough of a baseline to function, right? And the love in a relationship can provide and support having a solid enough foundation to begin to take risks and try things. Try being more self-expressed. Try being more honest about what you're actually feeling. Try saying no and having no be a complete sentence. Anything it is that you need to work on to demonstrate that you've got your own back can be worked on in a relationship, because many of the triggers that you'll experience just don't get triggered when you're by yourself. It's super easy, not, let me rephrase that. It's not super easy to be a monk in a cave on a mountain. However, in the relational sense, it's easier to be a monk in a cave on a mountain doing your deep work because nobody's in your space, leaving their dirty socks on the floor. Nobody's leaving dirty dishes in the sink that you have to figure out how to talk about so it feels better. Nobody's not making the bed or whatever the thing is. You get the point. So there are certain challenges to your ability to have your own back in context of relationship with another person that only come up when you are actually engaging with another person. This is what's beautiful and amazing about relationship. So it's not to say not to ever be alone and do your own work. It's super necessary to do that, especially when you are between relationships, so that you can put the past to rest, so that you can see your part in the situation, begin to work with that, and find other ways of being that serve you better. However, keep an eye out for when you tip, and if you tip over into avoiding being in a relationship because you need to develop more self-love, or you don't want to repeat old patterns, or any of the stories that we tell ourselves about why we don't put ourselves into the ring, why we don't put ourselves back out there. Watch out for any narrative like that, because that is avoidance. That is perfectionism disguising as self-work. That is allowing your fear to keep you safe, to keep you out of the fray. Instead, my invitation is to allow yourself to be with people, to let it get messy, to learn how to clean it up, because cleaning things up well is an expression of self-love. Having permission for yourself in a messy moment and then cleaning it up later, that's an expression of self-love. Having permission for other people to be themselves and to be imperfect is fostered by allowing yourself to be imperfect. And so my invitation to you today is to begin to think of self-love as something you build action by action, brick by brick, whether you're with someone else or not. What is one action you can take today that demonstrates to yourself that you have your own back? Whether that's with yourself or whether that's in an interaction with another person. What is one action you could take today that demonstrates to you that you have your own back? A moment where you could speak up instead of stay silent and go along with something. A moment where instead of staying up later than your bedtime because you're going along with things and you don't want to rock the boat, you actually stand up and go to bed because that's what feels best to you. Whatever that action is, start doing at least one thing a day that demonstrates that kind of self-care and self-love. And those bricks will begin to create a beautiful foundation, and we begin to spill into your interactions with others. And you'll notice also the reverse. As you allow yourself to be imperfect, to be a work in progress, to be a growing person, your relationships will also begin to give you a stronger foundation out of which to take bigger risks and try new things, especially when it comes to communicating your wants and needs, and communicating your boundaries, and communicating when you've been hurt. I'm Marie Elizabeth Molly. This is Relationship Alchemy, and today we've been talking about how self-love works really in the arena of a relationship, and that you do not have to perfect your self-love before you get to have a great relationship. The relationship teaches you how to do it when you learn to approach it this way. This is what I teach. I teach people to approach their relationships in such a way that they learn how to love themselves better within them and consequently love other people better too. Until next time, I'm Marie Elizabeth Molly. This is Relationship Alchemy. And remember, a great relationship starts with you.